All right, good afternoon again, and thank you very much for staying with us. You're welcome back from that break. We move on to some other stories, starting from the Savannah Accelerated area. And the story we have for you is that the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, SADA, says it will construct a land port at Buipe in the northern region. Chief Executive Charles Abugri says that the project is to trigger industrialization in that enclave.
The Savannah Accelerated Development Authority is preoccupied with fashioning out a comprehensive and sustainable development of the zone. The development of a water transport system is the first on the master plan.
Water transport is the cheapest source of transport in the world. And Buipe Port cannot be developed separate from the rest of the river. Our dream is the following: connect a railway line from Tema to Akosombo, deepen the river in parts, put rail barges on the river, not ordinary barges. Encourage, let the trains that carry the containers go straight from Tema Port into the rail barges, offload in Buipe. What would Buipe become? A major port.
Again, linking the zone by rail is crucial in speeding up development.
In our view, link of railway is not necessarily Kumasi to Tamale. That's a very short trip. The roads are good, you drive. The most important link of railway has got to be from Buipe to Hamele, and Buipe to Paga, and Buipe to Kulungugu. How would we finance this? We'll work at the mathematics. But we know that they are sufficient. If we ever strongly promote minerals and mining, it is so that they are making a justification for a railway line.
The project is expected to increase trade, and land transport reduces the volume of trade due to its slowness and challenges truck users and traders go through. Chief Executive Officer Charles Abugri argues the plan is the beginning of industrialization of the Savannah zone.
And the Chief Executive of SADA, Charles Akaliera Abugri, has joined us in studio to explore the SADA issue further, the new policies they have in place, and how they intend to ensure that this government's agenda of raising the standards around the SADA zone is achieved. Some economists have said that that is going to be the economy or the country's bailout. If we are able to properly invest in there, we are likely to get some good investment from there as well. So the Chief Executive is with us in studio. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon for inviting me.
To begin with, what you're going to start with a land port, or we are told that there are plans to ensure that we have a land port. What is this about, and how soon do we intend having it in place?
The idea of developing the Volta River from Akosombo all the way to Buipe or Yape has been on the drawing board since the time of Nkrumah. And the idea is to turn it into a major transport corridor. Now, very recently, this idea has picked up. Even the World Bank has funded a full feasibility study on the development of this water corridor. And so we were in a process of discussing and actually bringing this about. There is interest by a number of shipping agencies, private sector entities, in the idea of developing this river. The reason is simple. It cuts down the cost of haulage by a very significant margin. You load up to 40 containers into one barge. Therefore, if you were to create a short rail route between Akosombo and Tema, you would load a huge number of containers. If that train were to run straight into a rail barge, you will have 40 containers moving through the cheapest and shortest route possible. This will secure our trading relationship with the rest of the ECOWAS region to the north, and it will protect our roads. But more importantly for SADA, it will open up the economy in our inaccessible areas, in places like Kitikrachi, in Kwanta, the Nchumuri area, all the way through Makando to Salaga. and it will open up the possibilities for mining and industry. This is why SADA is exceedingly interested in this idea.
Okay, and it seems to be part of a number of fresh agenda that your institution intends to pursue. Can you help us understand what are maybe the top 5 key ones that you're looking at rolling out?
The top one is infrastructure, both transport infrastructure and economic infrastructure, as well as social infrastructure. But if we take economic infrastructure, the SADA zone basically has the potential for commercial agriculture for this country. Irrigation alone, there is a potential to irrigate up to 500,000 hectares in the SADA zone. Commercial agricultural land potential is 5 million hectares and above. The region is blessed with several rivers, both the black and the white, crisscrossing all over the place, with the potential to generate more than another 500 megawatts of hydropower, in addition to the 400 megawatts that is generated from Bupe. So our first attention is to put in place the proper studies, especially for commercial agriculture, including irrigation infrastructure, power infrastructure, and the related transport infrastructure, to be able to stimulate and boost investment. That's our first emphasis, is infrastructure. But of course, our second emphasis is in the social sector. Social sector is important because there are huge gaps in healthcare and education and skills. You need healthy, skilled human beings to be the engine of transformation. And so our work there is really to make the public sector function well, but also to stimulate private investment in education and in healthcare. Okay. The third priority for us would be to address manufacturing. You know, if you are investing in commercial agriculture, you are producing soya and maize, you might as well invest also in commercial poultry, because all put together will generate huge jobs, but also open up our export potential in a very large way. So therefore, industry is important, and so we have to map across the SADA zone where are the potentials for manufacturing, where can we put our industrial zones, our industrial parks, and our industrial corridors. So we have to plan agriculture alongside manufacturing and industry. And then finally, we have to address the land problem. If we don't address the land problem, all of the things we are saying, from agriculture to manufacturing, will not happen when land acquisition is cumbersome. But we also want to not just facilitate land acquisition, but we want to do so that it is just, and that it serves the interests of our communities and our people. We do not want to alienate our people from land. We don't want to create a landless savannah. We want land to be used also as an investment for the long term. So we are working on the land issues.
Quite seriously. We seem to have run out of time on this interview, but very briefly, SADA has had image issues in the last few years. How are you ensuring that you cleanse that image, at least so people who hear of SADA would know that, we have a more positive-oriented SADA?
We are cleansing our image, one, by investing in our systems to manage properly and provide accountability, and invest in our relationship with the SADA constituencies, including its various stakeholder entities. We are working on that. And so we are very proud and encouraged that the SADA zone stakeholders are returning and have increasing faith in SADA, but also the donors. But ultimately, the way in which we generate our long-term trust is for people to see what the institution can catalyze and stimulate. We have to deliver the results, not talk about it.
All right, so we've been speaking with the Chief Executive of the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, SADA, Charles Akeleyira Abugri, and he's been outlining some of the major policies they intend putting in place. So at least the SADA policy or agenda of this present administration is achieved. We want to say a big thank you again for joining us in studio.
It's a pleasure.
We go on to some other business. Just a second, I'm sure they would alert you. We go on to some other business stories. Now, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is alleging that some oil marketing companies are shortchanging consumers. They insist that there is a cartel of OMCs that has increased prices at the pumps between 4 to 6%, even though world prices have remained stable. And joining us on the line is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amoah. Duncan, good afternoon and thank you very much for joining us. How do you substantiate this claim?
Martin, good afternoon and good afternoon to your viewers this afternoon. Indeed, you would bear with me that, was it Monday evening, we got reports that the OMCs wanted to increase by some 4 to 6%, although we had done our calculation the Friday to indicate that the consumer was expecting to get some further reductions at the pump. Contrary to what is viable and what is logical, the calculation, the OMCs and some BDCs decided rather to increase fuel prices. And indeed, some have gone ahead to increase at the pump, and that is quite worrying. Unfortunately for some of these OMCs, are also still dropping prices at their pumps, which is a good indication that indeed some would want to be just and fair to the Ghanaian consumer, whilst for a majority others it is more of making further profits, although the world market index continues to remain largely stable and positive for the Ghanaian consumer. So clearly, Martin, if you allow me, Allied is gone up, Gold shot up a few percent. Total Shell went up by 3.4, 3%. A lot of them have actually gone up. And the worrying trend, Martin, for most of our consumers and for which we are getting very many calls is that most of the electronic boards are not even giving any indications as to how much these filling stations are dispensing fuel for. So for most of the service stations, even in the capital, you drive to and the electronic boards are either misreading what the pumps are reading or the boards are completely off altogether. So you are really not getting much of an information to inform you as to where to buy your fuel from as far as the price liberalization regime is concerned. And it's a source of worry for the chamber and for the Ghanaian consumer currently.
Okay, but from your study, do you know of any of the OMCs charging the lowest?
At the moment, our study, SO Energy is giving something good for the Ghanaian consumer, and we would entreat our consumers to continue to patronize some of these OMCs who are consumer sensitive. SO Energy, as of yesterday, had dropped their prices to 3.28, whilst the majority others, including Shell and Total, were trading at 3.439 levels. So indeed, yes, like I said, SO Energy have done what they could for the consumer, and we hope that the consumer will take advantage of this offer and fill their tank from some of these will continue to remain sensitive to the plight of the consumer.
All right. Thank you very much, Duncan Amoah. He is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, raising concerns about some so-called cartel in the OMCs or a cartel group of OMCs who are charging beyond the world price of petroleum.